It's time for Pitmaster and the Doc.
Hey guys, here we are, Pitmaster and the Doc. We're live.
What's up, John? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man. All the way live. We got a lot of shit to talk about. There's all kind of shit with McGregor, with GSP, with we're gonna talk about weight cutting and the dangers. We got Joanna. We got we got Pettis last fight. We got a lot of shit going on. The main thing is that fight. You can barely see it up in the corner there. See that? That, to me, that was the best thing that happened in the past 2 weeks. That was the best thing that happened.
So this is on last Saturday night's fight.
That was on last Saturday night. It was Matthew Lopez versus Rafael Assunção.
How do you say that?
Assunção, I
Okay.
think. I think that's how you
take your word for it.
I'm going to say Rafael.
I think he's out with a broken ankle, too.
Okay. It was a good fight up until it ended. But the reason I like it so much, and you can watch it on my Facebook and my Instagram, the end of the fight, he had the guy hurt. He was basically knocked out. He's on the ground, knocked out. Before the referee got there, he could have hit him probably 3 times if he wanted to. And most guys would have. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it, but there's something very right about not doing it. You know what I mean? So if he did it, yeah, you're trying to make sure he's out, because if he gets back up, then he might knock you out. But Rafael took a different turn. He decided, this guy's hurt enough, I don't want to hurt him anymore. I'm a martial artist. This is a sport. This isn't life or death. I don't want to hurt this guy anymore. So he actually went to, while he dropped him, I think it was a right hand. A flying knee missed, and I think he hit him with a right hand. And the guy was knocked out. So he hits the ground, and this guy follows him down with a hammer blow. Mid-strike, he stopped about this close to his face and just pulled it out. Like you're seeing right there. That's where he stopped that hammer blow.
Well, I think, for me, I really like this as well, but, doesn't the UFC bonus people? They used to bonus for, submission of the night or knockout of the night. Now it's, what do they call it?
Performance of the night?
Performance of the night. So this should be a performance of the night.
I think this should be a performance of the year.
I think he should get a bonus for that.
He should. I don't think he will, but he should.
Yeah, he totally should. That's one of the performances of the night.
It was an unbelievable.
Can you show it?
I'm gonna try to show it. Let me try to show it.
See if it works.
All right, let's see.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, he's like an inch from the guy's face, and stops, and is before the
referee's
referee's
the guy with
there.
the hook.
Oh, there you go.
Boom. Okay, you can't see that angle, but you're gonna see a different angle now. See that hand? It just stops right there.
The guy's out.
The guy is completely.
That's performance of the night.
Watch this.
As a doctor watching this fight,
look at that.
This is nice to see.
It's as a non-doctor, it's nice to see. See that? As an ex-fighter, it's nice to see. Okay, watch now. The hand goes. It stops. It stops.
All right.
It stopped before it hit him, and that was. And then after the fight, what he said was, basically, there's a lot of yelling going on. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, there's a lot of hate going on out there. And to her credit, Thug Rose Namajunas made the same statement after she knocked out Joanna. She said, they both said, there's a lot of yelling going on. There's a lot of talking going on. There's a lot of shit going on. This isn't the WWE. We're martial artists and we're here to fight. And that's basically what they both said.
Wait, who else said that?
Rose
Namajunas. Who? And this guy?
And yeah, and he was getting Rafael when he got when he was getting you can't hear it. When he was getting interviewed after the fight, he basically said, I know there's a lot of shit that goes on now, a lot of shit talking. He goes, I'm a martial artist, and I saw my opponent was hurt, so I didn't want to hurt him anymore. That's what he said. And how many guys say that?
Well, I think now with all the weight behind this podcast we have some pull. This guy should get a performance of the night bonus, Sean. I think I think we're going on record right now.
I think he should
on our podcast.
He should get bonus of the night. I think he should get martial artist of the year. I mean, to be honest, and so should Rose. I think her speech was just as good, just as I don't usually say this word, just as eloquent. I'm doing quotes. It was just as eloquent. It was a really good speech by both of them. They're both basically saying, I'm tired of all this bullshit. I'm tired of fucking people yelling all the time, and they're tired of turning the UFC is turning into the WWE. And just like GSP, who fought the week before and got a beautiful stoppage, to his credit, Bisping didn't tap. He went out. He said, fuck this. I'm not going to tap. Bisping is one tough mofo.
I think him not tapping with that choke in that's pretty badass.
He's a badass dude. He really is. But so is GSP.
Well, no, he won. You can't take anything away from it, but
No.
went 3 rounds. So
they're both badasses.
Yeah,
but
we didn't get a chance to talk about this fight,
No.
you and me, because one of us was gone last week. But that was a great fight. That was a great way to cap off those fights. As a fan watching those fights, it was the best fights I've seen all year. So
there were some unbelievable fights in that card. 219 was stacked. It lived up to its hype. All 3 fights, all 3 championship fights. Not only did they switch hands, but they all 3 switch hands via left hook. Okay. Now you might say, wait a second. TJ Dillashaw was southpaw. It was his right hook. No. To me, a left hook is whichever hand is forward. If you're orthodox, it's your left. If you're southpaw, it's your right. Your lead hand is my left hook. But and what did GSP say after the fight? He showed nothing but respect. He doesn't have to fucking trash talk. That is getting so old, turning the UFC into the WWE. And people are getting really tired of it.
do you think it works, though, for fighters? I hate it, but do you think it works for fighters? I mean, they're doing it, and we saw it in the fights we watched together a couple weeks ago in Brazil. The guy, he got out
Covington.
He got out there and talked all kinds of trash, and then people talk about him. And then he gets on social media and talks more trash, and now everybody talks about him. So fighters in GSP's position, they're where they are because of who they are and what they've done.
Yeah.
For up-and-coming people, that they're seeing the model, I think, of Conor McGregor, of all the trash talking, and then they're doing it. The difference is when Conor McGregor does it, he respects his opponent, and after the fight's over, he respects his opponent, and they kneel on the mat, and they respect each other, which you like to see in martial arts. It's not the WWE. They don't do that in professional wrestling. But this other guy, he's just talking trash after the fight.
Yeah,
and saying mean things about it in the entire country. So
a whole country. He fucking put down a whole country. I mean, that's a douchebag.
That's
move.
not a martial artist.
No,
I mean,
he's not. And he is good, but he's trying to gain a lot more relevance real quickly by running his mouth.
So, and the difference is, I think, is that I don't know that he's showing respect after the fight's over at all.
No, him and there's a few of them, but McGregor usually does show respect, but this last thing he did, let's talk about that. This last thing he did.
This happened this weekend, right?
Yeah, and I think the fight was in Dublin, Ireland. I'm not 100%.
It was Bellator, isn't? Well, but, I don't know where it was. It was Bellator.
Yeah, and what happened was, it was in. You guys know how Irish fans are. Imagine over there. Anyway, one of his guys fought one of Conor's teammates. And he dropped the guy, so the crowd erupted, and it happened right at the last couple seconds of the fight. So the bell rang, and Mark Goddard didn't hear it. So not hearing it, he saw the guy was hurt. He rushed over to help, make sure the guy was okay. But he didn't know for sure if the bell rang or not. So he was gonna put everything on hold and check with the timekeeper. And then he was going to assess the situation, which he should do, and then move on from there. It wasn't his fault. I mean, the crowd erupted like that. So he ran over to help the fighter. He never waved off the fight yet. He didn't say the fight was over. But for some reason, Conor McGregor jumped into the cage. Okay? And when Mark Goddard went over there and told him to get out of the cage.
Well, he not only jumped in the cage, he jumped in the cage and then jumped on his fighter,
Yeah.
basically tackled him to the ground. It was pretty...
It was a little odd. And then...
It was a celebration, I guess.
Celebrate great, but then wait till the fight's over. Wait till the referee calls it. So that he was premature in jumping over the cage, and I guess he just thinks he can now because he's Conor McGregor. But that's a douchebag move, no matter what. Because you're never going to see Chuck doing that. You're not going to see GSP doing that. But anyway, okay, so he jumps in. Then Mark Goddard went over there and said, he's a referee. He needs to watch out for the safety of the fighter and what's going on in the fight. He has to make sure it's if it's over, he needs to stop it. And he didn't stop it yet. So he went over there to tell McGregor to get out of the cage. McGregor shoves him.
And he shoved him, and also I think at this point the downed fighter was getting. I think Goddard got kind of
Trampled.
shoved onto the downed fighter.
It was a very classless and douchebag thing to do, and putting Mark Goddard in that situation was. I mean, for one thing, I mean you're in a cage, but Mark Goddard's not one of the fighters. When you lay your hands on him like that, that's assault. That is assault. Can you imagine going up to someone and just shoving them in the street? Why do you think you could shove a referee? That's assault. I mean, it's like, there's no two ways about that. I mean, you can't go up to someone and just fucking shove them. I mean, that's illegal. I don't know. I know he's making millions of dollars now, and McGregor, and he's knocked out some people, but you're not fucking God, bro. You can't just shove a referee. It's stupid. It's lame, and it's a douchebag move.
Well, and it's more of this WWE shenanigans.
It's WWE, but WWE is his yelling. Okay, when you're yelling, that's WWE. When you lay your hands on someone in an aggressive manner, that's fucking assault. That's criminal.
Yeah, but it's the theatrics of. It's on purpose, but it's the theatrics of like they'd hit each other with chairs and all this nonsense. That was fake.
Right, and that's planned. This was not planned.
Right.
And Mark Goddard did not think that was funny. So if the two guys that hit each other with chairs, they've signed something and they agree to hit each other with chairs. Mark Goddard agreed to referee a fight. He didn't agree to be assaulted by some guy that's not even a fighter. So to me, it was a criminal act. And if anything else, if nothing else, it was a douchebag move. I was like, I don't know. I used to like McGregor and think he was a great martial artist, but shit like this, bro, you're crossing a line, man. That's like, can you imagine what if somebody went up and shoved your wife? How would you feel?
So what do you think? There'll be sanctions against him?
No, I don't think there'll be much at all.
Well, UFC may have. Well, he's not even scheduled to fight.
If there isn't sanctions, yeah, he was scheduled. Oh, he was, wasn't he? Didn't they just pull him from
December?
Yeah, something. But I mean, he's making too much money. I think. I don't know. I don't know how much integrity they'll show. But my word to you, McGregor, I love you as a martial artist. You're kind of slipping, but how would you like it if someone shoved your wife or your girlfriend, whatever? Because Mark Goddard's not a fighter. He's not in there to fight. You guys you weren't even in this card. So laying your hands on him was illegal. I mean, it's like, it would be like, he has a mother or father. How do you think they feel watching their son get assaulted? It would be like somebody pushing your wife. You would go nuts. So it was just the wrong thing to do, and it's taking a turn for the worse. I mean, Covington fucking putting down a whole country. I mean, just the way they run their mouths. It's not even a martial art. You're trying to make more money. Guess what? GSP makes plenty of money. He doesn't run his mouth. He just fights his ass off. So take heed to that. Rose Namajunas just knocked out Joanna. She didn't run her mouth at all. After the fight, she said, I'm tired of all this shit. We need more peace, not so much hate. That's what she said. That was her after fight speech. So,
and I think she's pretty popular anyway.
She's very popular.
Without doing that. And then you have the new martial artist of the year, as he will soon be awarded. You have him too. So you do have the good side too, and the good people you can root for. I think, these people become the bad guy or whatever, like Covington wants to be. And then people also want to pay to see him lose, I guess. So
yeah, like they did Ali. But I mean, to me, boxing's a martial art, but it wasn't never really considered a martial art. Either was wrestling or some of the other sports. But check this out. This sport actually has the word martial art in the sport. It wasn't boxing martial arts, but this is mixed martial arts. So it's a fucking martial art. Treat it as a martial art, guys. You can say some funny things. Like, to me, Rampage. Rampage was hilarious before his fights. But he wasn't a fucking just a douchebag. And he wasn't mean-spirited. He was funny. This is a martial art. And you want to try to make more money, knock people out. Do a fucking flying armbar or some shit. Don't start just running your mouth and don't pick the lowest hanging fruit and try to make more money by just cussing more, putting countries down, telling you hope your fighters, fucking doing drugs and shit. Don't take the easy route. If you want to make more money in this sport, like I said, GSP makes plenty of money and he never runs his mouth. He won't even cuss. Okay, he won't even cuss. You guys want to make more money? Fight better, fight harder, start knocking people out. All right? Quit turning MMA, mixed martial arts, into WWE, mixed world wrestling, whatever. This isn't fucking wrestling, guys. Quit treating it like it is and act like a goddamn martial artist. If you don't want to be a martial artist, go do another sport. Go into the WWE or do hockey or some shit. But get out of mixed martial arts because let's bring the martial arts back to mixed martial arts.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, let's do it.
So
let's talk about some of the fights. First of all, Court McGee. Nothing but respect for Strickland. Nothing but respect for Court. I thought Court won without a doubt.
This went 3 rounds. Went to a decision.
Right.
And I was watching this live, and it was really frustrating because watching it live, they ruled it a majority draw, which means 2 of the judges scored it a draw.
Right.
One of them scored it for Strickland. 2 scored it a draw. They rule it a majority draw. Everyone leaves partially confused, and then they come away, and they're in the next fight after the commercial break. And then it just as an aside, oh, by the way, we did all the math wrong. Strickland won. It was just kind of a weird fight to watch because for me watching it at least seemed pretty even in the first couple rounds. Yeah, I thought Court won the first and second. I can't see how he didn't, but with that said, it was close, and Court's not gonna cry over spilled milk. He's not gonna complain about it. And it was close enough where I could see a judge who maybe didn't watch the whole round, or maybe maybe he used to judge amateur boxing, where a pity pat jab counts as much as a power kick. But here it doesn't. The significant strikes count more than just a jab that just touches. I'm not saying jabs are ineffective and they should be used, but his jab did absolutely no damage. And also one of the announcers even mentioned in the second round or so, Court had 20 landed leg kicks and Strickland had 0.
Yeah,
so I don't even think he kicked him. So
no, he was definitely playing it safe. Strickland was, and Court was coming forward the whole fight. He was landing hard kicks to the leg, to the body, and to the head. They both landed, not many punches. I think Court landed a couple hard rights. But I think with that said, just his aggressiveness and the power kicks he was landing versus nothing for Strickland in the first 2, except for one quick takedown, which Court was up within 15 seconds. I think Court won the first and second round 10-9. The last round, Court was winning, but then Strickland, I think, took the round with the takedown and the submission attempts. So I think, without a doubt, Strickland won the last round, but I think Court McGee won that fight without a doubt. And
they were both fighting to the very end, too.
Yeah.
It ended on the ground.
Court was trying to hit him, but yeah.
He was hitting him behind his head or over his head.
So it was a close fight, and I think Strickland did a good job. But I think I don't think there was. I think Court won without a doubt, and I think a lot of people did. I definitely don't think that's a fight where Court should be taken out of the UFC because Strickland's a hard guy to fight. He's like never been stopped, and he fights to not get stopped. He's a safety first fighter. I don't think he has any knockouts or submissions. Maybe he has a few, but he's a safety first fighter that will win on points. And he was trying to win on points with someone. It's hard to knock them out. And anybody that says don't leave it up to the hands of the judges has never fought before. If you say, well, you shouldn't leave it up to the hands of the judges. Okay, go to a fucking golfer and say, hit a hole in one every time. Or go to a batter and tell him, hit a home run every time. It's that stupid. It really is, because when you're trying to knock a guy out, he's either trying to knock you out or he's trying to not get knocked out. So you don't just get to knock someone out who doesn't want to get knocked out. I mean, anyone that says that has never fought and tried to knock someone out that doesn't want to get knocked out. So that's how I feel about that.
He looked like he was in good condition.
I thought he won the fight. I thought it was a good fight, not a great fight. But I think Court did everything he could do. And he couldn't have knocked this guy out. Well, he could have. Anybody can knock out anybody. But this guy was trying too hard to not get knocked out. He was moving, the jab. And Court did everything he had to do to win the fight. I mean, to win round 1 and 2, he threw a lot of punches and kicks. And he landed some really solid kicks. He even landed a head kick or two. So I think he won the fight. I think he did a great job. I think it was a good fight. Props to both of them. Strickland's a good fighter too, but I think Court won that fight.
Also, speaking of martial artists, I think I saw a picture of the two of them together after the fight, like backstage, like arms around each other for a picture. So you like that? They respect each other as fighters.
It's Court McGee. I don't know Strickland, but he seems like a really nice, classy guy. But Court McGee is a friggin' if you don't like Court McGee, you're a fucking asshole, whoever you are. If you don't like Court McGee, there's something wrong with you. Because you can't not like Court McGee. It's like not liking Mr. Rogers. You can't not like Mr. Rogers. You cannot not like Mr. Court McGee.
Little different backgrounds, but yeah.
It's a little bit backgrounds, but Court McGee is every bit as nice as Mr. Rogers. And if you don't like Court McGee, fuck you.
The next fight I watched was Sage Northcutt.
Okay. Oh my God, you cannot not like him either. I didn't see that fight, so I can't intelligently.
I heard he's being cast or something in the new Creed movie to be Drago's son.
When I was do you see that picture I put of him?
No, but he's perfect for that role.
He's perfect. He is. I have a picture of him and Drago standing next to each other and saying, "Oh look, they morphed." But
anyway, seeing him fight, I like watching him fight. His style, he's a karate guy.
And you can't not like him.
No, watching him fight is pretty fun. I don't know why he hadn't fought for 11 months. He must have been injured or something.
Did he call Joe Rogan Mr. Rogan?
I don't know.
He calls the announcer Mr. Rogan. I think he called his opponent Mr. whatever. He's like he's a different kind of guy than Court McGee, but it's the same thing. You can't not like Sage
He's
Northcutt.
always smiling. I think that's why.
If you don't like Sage Northcutt, fuck you. You can't not like him.
Also, by the way, it was a great fight. He's a good, I thought he put on a good show of his skills.
I didn't see that fight, but I hear good things about that fight. I hear he's on his way back, and he's a great competitor. He's just a great guy.
He's fun to watch. It's fun to look forward to watching him. So he was on the prelim card. I think that was the only one I watched on the prelims. And
then there was Joanna. Okay, Joanna, I like Joanna, and I nothing against her, but she tapped. She did. Okay, this is. Oh, you can't see my hand. Okay, this is tapping. Like, say this is the ground. That's what she did.
If there's 3 of them, it's probably a tap.
Watch. See? Watch. I'm going to clap. I just clapped. Now I'm going to say, oh, I didn't clap. She tapped. She tapped the ground 3 times. That's tapping. Okay?
And what did she tap to?
Yeah, strikes.
She's
And that's why people there's kind of a thing about it, you know.
And she hasn't been in that situation before.
No, she hasn't.
She was 14-0 or something.
Being in a position like that is very scary and it's very frustrating. And sometimes you got nothing to do, but you want to tap, but you can't.
Just so we're all clear, I would have tapped long before that. So anyway.
And just saying that, I wish I tapped a lot more, or else I wouldn't be forgetting my name all the time. So I'm not saying it's wrong to tap, but it's frowned upon. It might not be wrong.
It's a macho thing.
It's a muy macho thing.
I think they should all tap all the time, personally.
I think
they should all be tapping somewhere in the first round.
I think there shouldn't be so much punches in the face or the head. And I wish all fighters the best, and I'm sorry that I fought a lot, and I wish my brain wasn't as scrambled as it is. But she did tap. I mean as punch drunk as I am.
Well, so what is it about
Tap.
a fighter though that makes them say, when you're on tape from 7 angles tapping, to say I didn't tap? What is
Because
that?
it's
Why do fighters, not her, but in general?
Because it's frowned upon. I mean, it's kind of like, it would be like there's a great fighter. I think he's the greatest fighter, the top 3 fighters of all time, Roberto Duran. And he tapped to strikes once in boxing. But what he did was, he told the referee no muss. He waved himself off because he said he had terrible cramps. And then some people say, well, you were just losing. So he was vilified for quitting to strikes. Have you ever seen a boxer do it since then? I saw one.
Well, you could not get up, I guess.
You could pretend you're knocked out and just stay down for 10.
Save face that way.
Right. But to just openly quit, it's just frowned upon with boxing, with strikes. Like if the armbar was on, she taps, that's great. The choke is on, you tap, usually that's great. But to strikes, it's frowned upon, so she's denying doing it. And I'm not judging her because I wasn't down there getting punched in the face by Rose.
Well, the only weird part is, I wouldn't look down on her for tapping, but it's just weird to then say you didn't tap.
When everybody sees you tapping. Yeah, when everybody sees you tapping, to say you didn't tap is a little awkward.
I think you just deflected by saying, wow, she was so much better than me that night, or whatever.
I tapped, yeah. I mean, that's the high road. Let me tell you the highest road after a fight I've ever seen. This is my highest road. Somebody took the highest road I've ever seen. You're going to like this one. Okay. Bushido against Rampage. Close fight, not a great fight. Bushido won. Without a doubt, Bushido won. He landed more punches, but it was close. So they're standing there in the middle of the ring with the announcer, and Rampage gets the decision. How many times have we seen somebody, even with a one-sided victory, and they know they lost, so you could tell they knew they lost, and then the announcer goes, hey, and they give it to them, and they go, yeah, I thought I had it. Yeah, I won that one. And they know they lost. Okay? Rampage gets the mic, right? And he goes, I don't know about these judges, what fight they're watching. I just got my ass kicked. I just lost that fight. I don't know what fight you guys were watching.
That's a win-win. You like him more because he did that.
You liked him more.
And he gets the win anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But how many guys would do that?
I don't know. I like that.
I've never seen that happen before. I love Rampage even more after I saw that fight. I'll tell you when I love Rampage the most. Before a fight once, I think it was Japan, when he fought Chuck in Japan, he actually came up to Chuck and because he's respectful with his pre-fight shit, but he's good at it. And he went up to Chuck. He goes, hey man, I'm going to say this, and this. Do you mind? Do you have anything against that? Because if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. And Chuck said, no, man, sell the fight. Do whatever you want. And he did all that stuff on camera. Then, they shook hands after. But I like the way he sold fights. I like the way he played. I like the way he was. And I love that when he did that against when he fought Glover. He got his ass whooped by Glover. And he's like, the announcer's calling the judges, and they're saying, such and such for Glover. He's like acting like he didn't win, like he won. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And he was joking, but he's such a good sport. We need more good sports like Rampage.
I can't agree more.
Yeah. So, and GSP, he like started to cuss in the post fight interview, and he like stopped himself mid F. He was like effing something like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to cuss. Then he says something about balls. He goes, oh, I'm sorry for saying balls. He's like, he's the nicest guy, and guess what, guys? He gets paid a lot of money. He doesn't have to badmouth anyone. He can act like a martial artist. He can show respect to everyone, and he still gets paid a lot of money.
And his next fight's gonna be so huge, whatever it turns
Whatever
out
it is, yeah. So
people are all gonna. The crowd in his last fight was just cheering for him. It was it seemed like pretty one-sided in the crowd, but they were definitely behind GSP in that fight.
It was a good fight, and I think for the till the fight was over, I think both fighters did a great job. I really do. So
that was 2 weeks ago. Last week, there was on the main card, besides the guy that stopped the fight himself, which was great. The main event.
He stopped the hammer blow. You stopped the. How do you do that? It's like that. That's what you call Bushido. That's what you call class. That's what you call a martial art. He was able to stop his hammer blow mid strike and go, I don't want to hit this guy anymore. Class all the way.
And then after that, there was a really good fight. Which did you see the main the main event?
Well, who was the semi-main?
Pettis and Poirier.
Oh, well, before that, let's go with Matt Brown and Diego Sanchez. That was like the two warriors. It's like Arturo Gatti versus Arturo Gatti. Can you imagine Arturo Gatti versus Arturo Gatti? That's what this fight was like. And it ended pretty quick with an elbow, and so great job, Matt Brown. I just hope you get whatever you want. If you want to fight more, that's great. If you want to retire,
he was talking about retiring before the fight, and then afterwards, not sure.
Yeah,
how often do you see a fight end like that with an elbow?
Yeah,
elbow strike. That was pretty impressive.
You see elbows cut more than knockout. You do see some elbow knockouts, but usually they cause cuts. But this one was a straight up knockout. And then the main event.
There was an elbow in that too.
Oh God, that caused such a nasty cut. Poor Pettis. So Pettis was fighting Poirier.
Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, and it went back and forth. They both did a great job. I think they showed just unbelievable skills. I think Poirier was showing a little bit better, more powerful boxing, and Pettis was throwing better, fancier kicks. They had some beautiful grappling exchanges. I mean, there was a beautiful sweep from the guard. There was a couple beautiful reversals by Pettis. There was some really good grappling and striking. These two guys are both complete MMA fighters. They're both great. And then second round?
It was a particularly bloody fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe what helped with on the ground. It was pretty slippery, I'm sure.
It helped and hurt.
I can tell you it's pretty bloody because my 13-year-old daughter walked through the room and looked at what we were all watching and said, that's barbaric, and then left. So that was Maddie, yeah.
Maddie said barbaric? She actually used the word Mad Dog. Her nickname is Mad Dog, and she used the word barbaric?
Yeah. And she looked and she said, how can you watch this barbaric sport? And she walked away. So it was a pretty bloody event. I think Poirier's shorts were like completely blood-stained.
Me and Mad Dog need to talk because she needs to embrace this. But so, and it was kind of cool because not cool, but I think he got cut from how did he get cut? He got cut from the bottom, right?
I don't know if he got cut from the bottom.
I know. GSP's fight was
GSP. Right? He got cut from the bottom.
So yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember if he was on the top or bottom.
No.
But I think it was an elbow.
Yeah, it was an elbow, and it was brutally bloody.
The doctor had to come in. So the doctor made an appearance. It was great. Great night for MMA. The doctor came in the ring, looked at his face. It's like, yeah, you're bleeding all over the place, but go ahead and continue. And then they continue the fight. So the doctor got some airtime.
Why would the doctor come in, I wonder? Because they're gonna
make sure his eyes are okay.
Yeah.
They checked his cut. They looked at his vision, make
They
sure his
don't-
eye isn't injured. The cut'll heal. They can sew him up after the fight.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if he was bleeding so much or there was, it was hanging open, they would stop it. But I think the doctor comes in, checks his vision, makes sure
and he
his
wiped
vision's
it up real good.
Yeah, looked at him real close, wiped it all off. He got on TV, and then he let the fight continue.
Yeah, as he should have.
As he should have.
And then Poirier mounted him or something. He ended up in guard. Perez ended up in his guard, and he got I think he had like a figure 4 guard, and Perez turned.
It was
the
a body
wrong way.
triangle, right?
Yeah.
So he had him in
Yeah.
a body triangle, and Pettis was on the bottom.
And he tried to
And
turn.
he tried to turn to get out of it, and then he tapped.
He tweaked his. He tweaked. I'm sure he tweaked his ribs real bad or something. Could have even broke his ribs.
He
but
could have had an old injury there too. Who knows? But they didn't know.
They didn't know.
But he tapped to body triangle from trying to get out of it.
Yeah, you would.
And that was it.
That kind of pain though, like, is just unbelievable. And
Did he say after he didn't tap?
I don't know.
No.
But
he didn't say that.
But I mean, that was pretty scary. I mean, because he must have been in a lot of pain because that fight was so bloody and so brutal. To tap to what he tapped to must have been like excruciating because he had already been going through hell. I mean, if you're not going to tap to that kind of blood and guts, you have like guts coming out of your head. And he didn't tap. Now, so that must have really hurt. And so the fight was over. So Poirier beat Perez.
And he looked good too.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier looked really good.
Yeah, he really did. Now one thing we had a question from one of our listeners.
Oh, they asked how dangerous is extreme weight cutting? And so to answer that, from my point of view, extremely dangerous. We were talking about extreme weight cutting. Normal weight cutting is either you're cutting weight, in the weeks leading up to a fight, you might be cutting some weight. But the real weight cut that I think people talk about and the dangerous part of the weight cut is the, right before the weigh-in.
I think when you're talking about weight cut, like weight cutting is anything you're doing to lose weight. But when you say weight cut, that's the last 24 hours up to the fight.
So a lot of that is water weight.
It's almost all water weight.
And so the big problem is, and there's been deaths, a couple in the last couple of years in MMA, where people have died from something probably related to their weight cut because it's so dangerous.
Electrolyte imbalance.
So cutting weight is when you're dehydrated. You're not just dehydrated, but your electrolytes can be all out of whack, which can cause heart problems or certainly kidney problems.
Yeah.
So the other big thing with weight cutting is, for me, when you look at all the concussions, is you say, well, if someone's cutting that much weight, they're losing 20 pounds or some crazy amount of weight.
Yeah.
You lose a lot of that, all that water weight around your brain that protects your brain, the cushion around your brain. You lose that, and so you go, oh well, that's no problem. You just rehydrate them, and by the time they fight, they're fine. But the studies show it probably takes 3 days to become fully rehydrated back to normal. 3 days. So you're fighting. How soon after you weigh in?
So you're fighting, 36 hours. So you're saying there's not enough water in their brain?
I'm saying they have not fully rehydrated yet.
That's terrible.
So they may be at an increased risk for head injuries because their brain's still shrunken down from not having any fluid in there. So anyway, that's something to consider with the whole thing we talked about in previous ones, which is weight classes. Cutting that much weight, when money's on the line and it's your career, people do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're going to cut 20 pounds and then you get a case where someone dies or something like that, or they have a kidney problem, or who is that guy that they took off in a stretcher with some kidney failure?
And he died?
Is that Dada?
Dada 5000.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, there you go. So that was, and they think that's probably as a result of the extreme weight cutting he did. So anyway, so the question we had was, is extreme weight cutting dangerous? It's horribly dangerous. I think if you do it safely, I wouldn't call it extreme weight cutting. So, if your fighter's cutting 5 pounds, I think it's a big deal.
Okay, my answer is it's all relative. Like extreme is a relative term.
Right.
Because some people can cut 20 pounds.
And physiology is different. So someone
Right.
may be able to cut weight more than someone else can safely.
Right. So it's a relative term, and this is what I recommend. Because I've seen guys that 5 pounds in 24 hours won't come off. They're dying trying to lose their last 5 pounds. And I've seen guys lose close to 20 pounds in that 24-hour weight cut period, and they're fine. So the number itself of the pounds lost don't mean as much as your physiology. So this is what you do. You should do a test run. And this is when Court wanted to cut down from middleweight to welterweight. I had him do a test run. So like during a 6-week period where he didn't have a fight coming up, I had him pretend he had a fight coming up and cut down to welterweight to see how he felt. And he felt great, and now he's been fighting at welterweight. But I say get near the weight that you want to fight at, and then try to cut the weight in a week and see how you feel. I think you should always do a test run at that weight class and see how you do it, and then see how you feel. Number one, it'll tell you if you can do it or not. Number two, I'm trying to do it 2 fingers over your thing. Number two, when you're used to doing it, it's easier to do the next time. When you make the weight cut, like Chuck always had, not easy weight cut because it's not easy when you're feeling the pain. It wasn't easy, but from the outside looking in, it was relatively easy. He wasn't suffering like I've seen some guys to make weight cuts. I've seen guys so sucked up they've needed 6 bags of fluid just to get back to the present. So it's a relative term, but I think all of you guys that want to fight in a specific weight class, or if you've never fought before and you think, okay, I'll be a such and such, maybe you wouldn't, because if you walk around at 165 and you want to fight at 155, maybe try to get down to 155, because maybe you can. Maybe 65 is as low as you can go.
But the reality is, anyone fighting in that weight class is probably fighting 165 anyway.
Most people are, but if you're doing that, then if you walk around at 165 and you're already lean, it's kind of a precarious position, because what if you can't lose that extra 10 pounds, right? So then you can't make it to 55. You're 65. You're not at 70. So the guy that's fighting at 70, there's some guys that fight at 70 that walk around at 190. So now you're a 65 pounder fighting a 190 pounder because you can make 155. So find out what's the lowest weight you can make, and if you're walking around, like if you walk around at 170 and you can't make 155, then you need to bulk up a little so you can cut down to 70. Okay? But cutting down isn't always that important. It isn't. It really isn't. Some people don't cut as much weight as others, and everybody's different. So find out what is the lowest you can cut to comfortably, right? And then if you don't walk around at a low enough weight and you want to get rehydrate and get back in the cage at a higher weight, then put on a little bit of weight and then cut down. Okay? If you got any question about that, feel free to tweet me, text me, Facebook me, email me, text me, or Instagram me. I will talk about that because the doc has more knowledge about the dangers of extreme weight cutting and dehydration, but I have more strategies on how to cut weight effectively so you can fight at the optimal weight class. Like 170 is the optimal weight class for Court McGee. But
what do you think too? If these people are doing extreme weight cuts, have you seen that affect their performance? You're saying they're getting rehydrated and they're good to go for the fight, but it seems to me if they're still actually technically rehydrating, their performance may not be what they want it to be. I don't know. Have you seen that in reality?
Very seldom, in fact, because Very seldom. Most fighters that I see within the 30-hour, whatever, I'm rounding 24 to 36 hour from the time they weigh until the time they fight. Most guys I see are completely back to their to fighting shape. Once in a while, you'll see a guy that didn't make it, and sometimes a guy will have just an unnaturally bad weight cut, even though he's done it before. Maybe his electrolytes got thrown for a lot of different reasons, so he had a electrolyte imbalance that really affected him more than it usually will. Because electrolyte imbalances can affect you neurologically, cardiac, muscular. I mean, so it can affect you a lot. But sometimes it won't as much. So, and you can't ever tell from fight to fight. I mean, you could be making 155 from 170, for most of your career, and then one fight, one weight cut, for some reason it might be off, and you might have an adverse reaction. So you can't always tell that.
Well, I think there could be other factors. You could have had a cold recently or been dehydrated for some other reason or had an infection or something else. So, and then putting that weight cut on top of that could be dangerous. But when you talk about extreme weight cutting and some of the things people used to do, like use diuretics, water pills, or pills that make you pee, they're medicines, those screw up your electrolytes a lot. So
Yeah.
you're not allowed to do that anymore in the UFC. Those are banned substances now. So people are, what are they doing to cut weight? Extreme weight cut. They're restricting their water. They're doing saunas or hot baths or...
Well, they just do one of two things. They cut their water intake completely, any liquids usually, and then they expel water, whether that be by peeing, sweating, spitting, or whatever. They're getting rid of water that's there, and they're not introducing any more water.
And water is important for life. it's one of those important things.
Yeah, that's why the losing the weight up to the weight cut isn't as dangerous, because you can go without food for a long time. You can only go without water for a very short period. So
especially when you're actively getting rid of it.
yeah, so
that's the opposite of going without or drinking water. You're not just going without. You're getting rid of it. You're at a net deficit. So yeah, I think it's super dangerous to answer the question. I think if you do it correctly, you can cut a certain amount of weight safely. But again, like John said, everybody's different. Your physiology is different. And you can't talk about pounds because there's different weight classes. A guy that's 240 cutting 20 pounds is a whole lot different than a guy that's 150. So
yeah, and so I think it's better to fight at a weight class up if you have that hard of a time than dying trying to make the weight class down. So think about it that way.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Any more questions?
Text, tweet. Yeah, you put a question down, we'll respond. You can even do the SoundCloud. I think you can comment on SoundCloud, right?
Or on YouTube.
So we're on SoundCloud, we're on YouTube, we're on iTunes. We're all over the friggin' place. So check us out, and we will see you guys next week.
Next Tuesday.
So there.